Gardening is not something you can usually just pick up without studying up a bit on what you're getting yourself into. Now, books, of course, are an excellent resource for doing this. It's also something that the kiddos can get into, especially with the help of books. Here with us this morning to talk about which books to try out, which can be helpful for you in the whole gardening process, is Connie Griffin of Bookworks, one of my favorite stores in the Duke City. Connie, good to see you.
Nice
Love
to
the
see
hat.
you. Thank you.
Love the hat. It's awesome. We're talking about gardening and getting ready.
You gotta have the tiara.
Absolutely. So today, you know, it doesn't feel like gardening weather. It's still a little chilly, but we're warming up really quick. So today is a good day to get out to Bookworks, pick up what we need to do. First of all, let's talk a little bit about why gardening is important. What is so great about running your own garden?
You know, I think the thing about it is, although there can be unsuccessful days, I realize that, but it's a sense of success of making something, and it's very creative. You know, it's a lot like knitting or other kinds of crafts. It is just creative.
It's something that you tend to and that you're responsible for.
Exactly.
And that you're right, that pride when you've grown your own tomatoes. Boy, there's nothing like that. It's fantastic.
That's right. That's
so
right.
you brought in a number of books here, and they're all quite different. I'm looking at kids' books. I'm looking at just a variety of different things. So tell us a bit about what we're looking at here today.
Well, you know, I want to talk about Judith Phillips' book because Plants for Natural Gardens, that's almost a classic, if you can have like a 20-year-old classic.
Okay.
And it just fills you in on the natives, on what is going to grow well. Like, I've got a patch of sand, I call it the bakery, in the back of my yard, and I turn to her all the time for things to put back there. So I love that one for us specifically.
Okay.
The one here about food to table, great book for kids on how to start a garden for eating.
Really? Okay.
And it's got all kinds of simple little things to grow, carrots, tomatoes, and then wonderful recipes. So you can just see the whole process.
Is it good for kids because of the simplicity of it? Is it sort of written and geared towards kids so it's easy for them to connect to?
There's that. I mean, obviously, I think a parent is going to need it depending on the age of the child. But, you know, really 4s and ups can start.
So this is something great if we're wanting to do this with our kiddos and get them involved. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fantastic.
And just show them the whole thing.
Yeah, great. Okay.
Yeah.
So now you mentioned the book, the Plants for Natural Gardens, and that it's geared toward growing here in New Mexico.
Right.
Do you find a lot of people coming in that they know what they're doing in terms of gardening, but they just don't know how to grow in this climate? Is that something you encounter a lot?
Yeah, it's a lot like baking here. Yeah, there's a learning curve, as they say about it. I remember a cousin of mine moved from Cleveland, and he wanted to put in a garden. No.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about this. We're not putting in lawn here, hon.
Right.
So it did take him. It took him a while to go from Cleveland to the west side. But you just gather it after a while, and you're just looking through neighborhoods and seeing what else is growing.
Yeah.
But it's tough. I mean, I grew up in Pennsylvania, and you said to a seed, "Hey, would you grow?" And you know, the next day you have some giant thing in here.
Exactly.
It takes a little bit more.
Yeah, it takes a little bit more. Now one book that kind of caught my eye, I have a 2-year-old, and I want to point out the Curious Garden. So tell us about this book, because this looks something more like educating the kids. This isn't how to grow gardens.
Right.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about this book.
You know, a lot of gardening is imagination. You have to constantly be thinking, what is this going to look like? I love this book. It came out about 3 or 4 years ago. I just love it. Kind of loosely based on the High Line in New York City, the railroad track that was abandoned, and then things started growing. Reminds me a lot of our own rail yard here and the new market that's opened up. But it's all about the imagination of, well, what could happen and if I grew a seed? And then it's that whole nurturing thing you were talking about. And here's this child, and he has something to really take care of. And he does. And then people look around and they say, whoa, that's really cool. That's gorgeous. And they jump in.
I love the fact that you're pushing the imagination and the possibilities of the garden, which I think is really fun. So all these books available at Bookworks.
All of them.
If you've never been, get out and see it. But if you've never been, where are you located?
We are at Griegos and Rio Grande, so we're just a little bit, tiny bit north. We're in the Flying Star Shopping Center.
Fantastic, Connie. Thank you so much for bringing all these in.
Thank
Happy
you.
gardening this summer
Thanks.
when it warms up. All right, for more information on these books and Bookworks, head over to CASA.com, click on the CASA blog.